Good morning, everyone. I believe we have everyone here. Christy, can you call the roll?
I sure will. Reese Isbell,
Here.
Megan Ellis,
Here.
Colette Kavanaugh,
Here.
and Callie Mae Pham.
Here.
Everyone is present.
Terrific. Thank you. Our next item is election of committee chair. Christy, can you explain?
Sure, we elect a committee chair at the beginning, at the first committee meeting of each year. So this would be a motion from the committee to submit a nomination for committee chair. And as a reminder, you can only chair one committee at a time.
Okay. I'll take any motions from folks who would like to be chair. If there's no one who wants to put their name in, I'm happy to continue serving.
I would like to move to nominate our current chair is Reese Bell to serve as our chairperson for this year.
Seconded.
Thank you all. Any other comments? Do we go to public comment for that, Christy?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And I
Yes.
have no public in the room.
Okay.
All right, this is the moderator at the direction of the committee. I have opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen or use the raise hand button. And audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. All right, and seeing no requests for public comment, would you like me to close the Q&A panel?
Sure, that would be fine. Christy, can you call for a roll vote?
Reese Isbell,
Yes.
Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Colette Kavanaugh, Colette Kavanaugh. Looks like we may have lost her audio. Callie Mae Pham,
Yes.
just checking again for Colette Kavanaugh. Let her get back connected. However, that motion does pass.
Do we know if she's having trouble getting on, or it looks like we lost her now? Perhaps she needs to re-sign in.
Yeah, I believe she's re-signing in.
Okay, we can just hold a moment. I see her signing back in. Colette, welcome back.
Hi, sorry about that. My computer crashed.
No worries. Colette, could we go ahead and get your vote on the motion to allow Reese to serve another term as chair?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all, and thank you for your continued support of me in this role. I appreciate it, and I'm happy to continue to serve as long as I can be of use. So we'll move to the next section on the agenda, which is item 3, the discussion and possible approval of the minutes from both January 22nd and February 20th. Do I have any discussion or a motion to approve either of those minutes?
I
Uh,
move
to
to approve.
clarify,
Oh, sorry, go
sorry,
ahead.
to clarify, do we need 2 separate motions?
Sure. So if there's a motion for one of them now, preferably the January 22nd to keep in order.
Kelly Mae, do you want to do January?
Yes, I will move to approve the January 22nd, 2024 meeting minutes. Thank you.
Seconded.
Thank you. And Christy, can we move both, or do we have to go to public comment for each individually?
I do believe you can move both of them if you don't have any edits.
Okay. Does anyone have any edits or comments on February 20th?
Move to pass the or approve the February 20th, 2024 meeting minutes.
I'll
And I
second that.
second it.
This is, oh. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Now we can move to public comment for both of those approval of minutes.
All right, this is the moderator, and at the direction of the committee, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, or use the raise hand function. And audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. All right, and seeing no requests for public comment, would you like me to close that Q&A panel?
Yes, thank you very much. And now we'll take a roll call on both of the motions.
Reese Isbell,
Do we do it for both or just January?
we'll go ahead and do it separately.
Okay.
So first we'll do the January 22nd.
Great, sorry, just want to be clear. January
you.
22nd, yes.
Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Colette Kavanaugh,
Yes.
and Callie Mae Pham.
Yes,
That motion passes. And now the vote for the February 20th, 2024 committee meeting minutes. Reese Isbell,
Yes.
Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Colette Kavanaugh,
Yes.
and Callie Mae Pham.
yes,
Motion passes.
Perfect, thank you, everyone. We'll move to the next item of discussion, which is on the agenda, discussion and possible recommendations regarding the proposed bills. Several of these we did here and got moved for support or oppose or watch at the last board meeting, but we want to re-look at them again as things change with legislation and make sure that there hasn't been any major changes since the board made a decision, and also to look at any potential new bills that may have come up since our board meeting and our last legislative meeting. I know we have a few. So I will turn it over to Christy to give us an update.
Okay, so we have several bills that the board has taken a position on that we'll just start at the top, and I'll indicate if anything has changed from the board meeting. So our first bill is AB 1328. That is the cosmetology licensure compact. So nothing has changed on that bill. That's a 2-year bill. We do anticipate a hearing happening on that bill sometime soon this spring. The board is in support of this bill, and nothing has changed since the board meeting. Any questions on that bill?
Christy, since it's a 2-year bill, do we anticipate the bill moving forward? It's good that it has a hearing, but are we anticipating that it might stall in the committee process?
There is a chance it could stall in the committee process. Compacts are very new to California. So there was an informational hearing last month on compacts in general, and there are a lot of other compact bills going through the process. But I do think there will be a hearing, but whether or not it makes it out of committee, I'm not really positive it will.
Thank you. And just noticing the registered support, we're listed in there as the sponsor and along with a number of other organizations, and no one is listed as a registered opposition.
Correct.
Great. I don't think we need a motion if we've already moved on this, unless anyone else has any comments. Okay, we can go to the next one.
All right, the next one is AB 2166, which is the hair types and textures. So this bill, the board did take a position to support. This bill requires textured hair techniques to be taught within barbering, cosmetology, and the hairstylist license. And there has been no action yet on this bill. However, there is a hearing on the bill first part of April, which is like next week. I believe the hearing is the second week of April on this bill.
Okay, and we made a position at the board meeting to support. Are we making any comments at any hearing that's coming up?
I'll be present at the hearing.
Great. And has there been any major changes since the board meeting when we had this conversation?
No changes.
Okay, any questions or comments from committee members? Okay, great, thank you. We can move to 2412.
All right, AB 2412 is a bill that doesn't necessarily impact our board, but does our licensees. That is the California Body Contouring Council. We have a position of watch on this bill, and there has been no new changes to the bill. There is a hearing, I believe, on this bill as well on April 9th. So I will be present as observing at the hearing, but I'm not sure where this bill will go. But as of right now, the bill has not had any changes since the board meeting.
Okay, comments or questions on this bill or potential motions? Okay, we can move to 2444.
Just get there. AB 2444 is the bill that the board discussed at our last meeting regarding manicuring licensing, which required the board to develop a video for people licensees to view at our renewal time, as well as provide information to licensees regarding basic labor laws. The board took a position on February 26, 2024 to oppose this bill. And as of today, there has not been any changes to this bill. I believe it is also up for hearing in April.
Thank you. And we did receive a letter of comment regarding this bill. Do we know if anyone is on the public comment now who would want to speak to that letter?
I believe so.
Can we do that now, or do we need to wait until the end of this agenda item?
I'll ask legal counsel for that.
Sorry?
We
She
have
said-
a comment on this bill, but we're
Yes.
not done with the agenda item. Can we do that now, or should we wait?
Absolutely. It's up to you when you want to take that comment.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and take comments on this bill, as I know we have one.
All right, this is the moderator, and at the direction of the committee, I've opened up Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, or use the raise hand function. And audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. All right, and it looks like I have a comment from Fred Jones. Fred, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak and a 15-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Jones on behalf of the Professional Beauty Federation. Thank you for the opportunity to weigh in. Like your board, we also took an opposed position, although we added the phrase unless amended. We believe this is just a issue of equity and how we're going to treat different members of our industry. Unfortunately, when Assembly Bill 5 by Lorena Gonzalez was passed several years ago, she decided to treat the manicuring industry differently than the hair and skin sectors. I don't want to go into details of why, but long story short, she put a sunset date on the exemption that our industry enjoys only for manicuring, which means when that sunset date expires, manicurists will not have the same treatment when it comes to labor law in California as hairstylists and skincare professionals. We think that's just fundamentally inequitable. And so our position on AB 2444 is, rather than the impracticality of trying to educate one sector of our industry about the differences of how they're being treated with labor law matters, we should treat all of our sectors equally by removing that sunset date and giving the same protections and the same exemptions to the manicuring industry as is enjoyed by the other sectors of our industry. So we have an official oppose unless amended to just do that. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. Next, I have Catherine Porter. And Catherine, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak with a 15-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device. And Catherine, it looks like your microphone's still muted. I'm going to request to unmute one more time. And Catherine, you'll need to click the unmute me button when it shows up on your screen.
Oh, sorry about that.
All right, we can hear you now.
All right, all right. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak to the committee. And good morning, committee members. I'm Catherine Porter, Senior Policy Consultant for the California Healthy Nail Salon Collaborative, and we are co-sponsors of AB 2444. Just to set the record straight, this bill does not impact whether or not the sunset of the exemption goes into place. But assuming it does go into place, people need to know about it. So that's what our bill is about. Whether the sunsetting is a wise piece of policy is to a certain extent irrelevant, because if the law doesn't change, the salon and barber community will be responsible for complying with it. So many of you probably already know that our organization was founded approximately 18 years ago, and our mission is to address the health, safety, and workers' rights of the predominantly Vietnamese immigrant female nail salon community licensed by the BBC. The goal of AB 244 is to ensure that BBC licensees know and understand their rights and obligations under labor law, such as the proper classification of employee status and minimum wage. AB 2444 is needed for several reasons. One is that generally speaking, we know that there is great confusion among at least nail salon workers and owners regarding employment classification and pay practices. We also know that misclassification as, in quotes, independent contractors is rampant in other low-wage industries where similarly women and people of color are overrepresented. And this includes hairdressers, according to a report by the Economic Policy Institute. We also understand from sources in the BBC that misclassification is increasingly a concern among California's estheticians. And even though information regarding basic labor law is included in the BBC curriculum, we don't know if that information is in fact being taught in schools. And this is information that establishment owners never are exposed to at all. And these are the individuals whose job it is to make sure that they comply with labor law. So in the past, excuse me?
15 seconds.
Oh, in the past, the BBC has rightly concerned itself and currently with other issues beyond its strict mission, for instance, no violence in beauty. So we're hoping that BBC will continue to work with us. We have talked with Christy Underwood, the executive director. We're planning on having more conversations to see if we can find a way to make sure that both interests are met in this bill, make sure that information gets out to this community, and also make sure that we don't break the bank of the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. So thank you for your time.
All right,
Thank
this
you.
is I apologize. This is the moderator. Next request for public comment, Jamie Schrebeck. And Jamie, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak of a 15-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Jamie Schrebeck from Precision Nails. I want to express that my position on this whole topic has remained consistent all through the arguments over AB 5, which again, going back to the record, I have always wanted the manicurists to have the same rights as all other licensees of the board. So thank you, Fred Jones, for expressing that so eloquently in the first comment that was presented. And I would take the same position, opposed unless amended to eliminate the sunset. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. Appears there are no further requests for public comment. Would you like me to close that Q&A panel?
Can you hold on that for a moment? I'd
Sure.
like to ask Sabina a question. Are we able to ask questions to those making public comment?
If you so desire.
I would like to ask questions of Catherine Porter if she's available.
All right, this is the moderator. Let me go ahead and unmute Ms. Porter's microphone.
Yes, hello. Hello, Mr. Isbell.
Yes,
I'm
thank
glad
you.
to hear that you got our letter. Thank you.
Yes, yes, and I've looked over it and I appreciate your comments in the letter and at our last meeting and at today's meeting. I guess my biggest question is, this is all related to labor law and work that is being done by that department. Why do you all feel it's necessary that our department oversee this work?
For several reasons. One is for better for worse, the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology is the agency that already has an existing relationship with this community. The BBC has addresses of all these individuals. We had assumed that the BBC also had phone numbers and email addresses because we assumed that that information was gathered at the time of registration. Like most of us who are licensed by the state, we generally have to provide a phone number and or email address. So we were recently surprised to find out that that wasn't the case. So we have been assuming, and to a most extent, it's still the case that the BBC is the agency that currently has a relationship. The BBC has in the past, by statute, been required to, but it has done a great job of adding information on basic labor law to the curriculum. It has other resources on its website. As I also mentioned in my comments, it has gone beyond its mission to bring other issues to the fore, such as domestic and sexual violence, which we applaud its efforts in doing that because there's clearly an interest in ensuring that this community of licensees are healthy and safe, because they can only serve consumers if in fact they feel safe, if in fact they're being treated fairly in the workplace. So there is a link between how people are being treated by their employers and how well they do their job and how safe it is for consumers. We also know that some of the things already in place may not be as effective as we would hope. As I mentioned, the curriculum that has the labor law curriculum that has been added is not seen at all by establishment owners whose responsibility is to comply with the law. I do want to emphasize, though, that we have had, since the board meeting in February, we have met with Director Underwood to get a more detailed perspective on how the BBC views this, what it might need in order to at least be a partner in this effort. We're hoping that those conversations will continue. So I hope that answered your question.
Yes, thank you. And please, if you could stay on the line, Christy, I have a question in regards to our current work regarding legal rules that pertain to our salons. What are our requirements now? We require things to be posted, correct?
Correct. We have something that has to be posted. We also, as Ms. Porter mentioned, we have a section in our health and safety course that we provide to all schools, information on basic labor laws. And then we also have information on our website, which I think is something we could definitely expand. We're currently working on our health and safety course right now. Again, this doesn't, as mentioned, reach any establishment owner who is not a licensee. And so, you know, we could definitely, our concern with the bill is the workload involved with the developing of a video that is out of our scope of expertise and posting it hosting it on our website and the costs of staffing that would be involved in monitoring that as in a sense, a continuing education type of program. However, we're more than happy and I think willing to add any additional posts. And I believe our conversations will continue that I've had with the collaborative. We would want to get this information out to establishment owners, just not in a way that's going to impact our staffing levels. We would not be able to take on this workload at the current staffing level.
Thank you. Yeah, and my concern is, as I mentioned at the last meeting, the idea of the added piece to this. In most other cases, as discussed, we are happy to comply with posting of laws and to ensure or encourage education among our clientele and licensees and so forth in a variety of ways. I think the concern with the language that I have is that it requires that we make sure they have watched the video, which is a whole different concept that goes beyond a bit of what we normally provide. But other than that, I obviously this is an important legislation to consider. But I think that's where I'm coming from and from our discussion at the board meeting. Does anyone else have any further questions for for Catherine? All right, Catherine, thank you for your time and for submitting this information.
Thank you. And thank you to the committee members for hearing our comments. We appreciate it. And we appreciate working with Christy Underwood too.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Christy, I think we can move to the next item.
Oops, sorry about that. Our next item is a bill that has not been seen by the board. This bill is AB 2862, authored by Assemblymember Gibson. This bill would require boards to prioritize African American applicants seeking licenses under these provisions, especially applicants who are descended from a person enslaved in the United States. This is a department-wide bill, but we did think it was significant enough to bring to this committee and then on to the board if they so choose. We are recommending that we oppose this bill. And the reason is why the impact that would happen to our licensing staff in order to prioritize applications, I think would be detrimental to the entire licensing program. We receive thousands of applications on a weekly basis, and to have to prioritize a certain portion of those is going to really create a backlog in the ones that are not being prioritized. It would take we do believe we have a very large, we don't have any numbers, but we do believe we do have a large number of African-American applicants. It would, we obviously have a lot of applicants from an incredible diverse background. And so it would just create a significant backlog in our licensing program because so many would be moved to the back of the line that we might not, it would take a very long time to get to them and a lot of coordination to keep the licensing program within a decent time frame.
And is it correct that we don't currently collect information regarding ethnicity of our applicants?
Correct.
Okay, so that would involve a whole new issue for us on whether to do that and then how to do that.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that would be my biggest concern. I certainly see that the interest by the folks supporting this concept of prioritizing the African American community in our legislation. But currently, I'm not sure we're prepared to do that. And so I personally would have a concern with that piece of it. Does anyone else from the committee have any comments or questions?
This is Member Kavanaugh. I have a couple of comments about it. My concern is race is a protected characteristic. And so if we're going to single out a specific group of people, give them priority, I kind of worry about the legal implications of doing something like that if we're not collecting that data. And I kind of feel like in order to keep things fair and equitable, it's better to not know any of that information. It's just people they apply, they pass an exam, and it's all merit based. And I feel like when you start kind of pinpointing like personal characteristics of people, it becomes, I don't know, a slippery slope. So I agree with opposing this sort of legislation.
This is Member Pham. My thoughts are kind of similar. Chrissy, can I ask that the text that's included in our packet, is that all there is? The page and a half, or even, yeah. Okay, well, that's an issue for me as well. I just don't feel comfortable supporting anything that is this vaguely written and really tells us nothing about implementation or how they imagine kind of rolling it out and how we would identify people. Would it be self-identification? Is there any verification involved? I think that gets us really in some messy, could get us into some really messy weeds. That is not our place. Also, just the way that we license, this is not a context where we, look at people as like holistic applicants. We are about consumer protection, and our job is to just make sure that the minimum requirements are met for health and safety and not anything beyond that. And so I don't think that this would be appropriate for our role to be asking about people's ethnic backgrounds, and then making decisions based on that, or giving priority based on that. So I would agree that as written at this time, I wouldn't be in support, and I would be comfortable with recommending to our board that we oppose as written, or even just watch. I don't know.
Do we know if any of, I mean, this is so overarching in regards to healing arts and real estate businesses and so forth. Do we know if any other boards have discussed this or made positions on this?
I do not know.
Okay. Do we know if do we know if others collect ethnicity information among their clientele?
We actually can't do that. So this is Sabina. Actually, I don't, right, it's not allowed.
Okay. Well, that certainly curtails the whole concept here, because if we're not allowed to collect that data, then we wouldn't know. We wouldn't be able to do that. I think, yeah.
Sorry, that means there'd probably be other laws that would have to be changed in order for us to be able to collect that data. And so again, like Callie Mae was saying, it's kind of vaguely written at this time, and how would you implement it? And there's a lot of issues like that.
Yes, and so I think it puts us in a difficult position of the author of the bill may be seeking something that we cannot do unless the author or others make other changes to the law. So yeah. Does anyone have any further questions or comments or potential motions?
I would actually make them. I don't want to come out so strongly and say we just completely oppose the idea, because it just looks like it's not fleshed out, period. And so I would rather just watch. So my motion would be to recommend. Actually, I don't know if we need a motion to recommend watching, but that would be my inclination, unless someone feels differently, to take a stronger position.
I agree, because The bill is sort of newly introduced and hasn't grown since it was introduced in February 15th. Usually by this time there's more substantive language. So I'm wondering if this is one of those bills that will just sort of fizzle out as it gets towards the fiscal committees.
Okay. I think we have a motion to watch if we need a motion. Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay. Do we go to public comment on that specifically as well?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's do that.
This is the moderator, and at the direction of the committee, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen or use the raise hand function. And audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. All right, and it looks like we do have a request for comment from Jamie Schrebeck. And Jamie, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak with a 15-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Good morning again, Jamie Schrabeck from Precision Nails. I do appreciate your watch position, although my initial reaction would be to oppose, particularly based on that language that says that applicants who are descended from a person enslaved in the United States, like if you don't even know who's African American, how would you go about determining that particular information? That just doesn't seem workable in any agency. And the fact is licenses aren't limited. We're not talking about enrollment in college or something like that. Licenses are processed, the applications are processed in the order they're received. And as far as I understand, the only group that gets priority treatment are people affiliated with the military. And rightfully so. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. Appears there are no further requests for public comment. Would you like me to close that Q&A panel?
Yes, please. Thank you. Well, I have a motion in front of us. Do we need to take a call on a roll call?
I believe so.
Okay, then let's go ahead and move with a roll call.
All right, Reese Isbell,
Yes.
Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Colette Kavanaugh,
Yes.
and Callie Mae Pham.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. Thank you. And Christy, our last bill of discussion. Oh, no, wait, we have two more.
Two more.
Sorry.
Okay, our next bill is SB 817. This is a bill the board chose to support back in April of 2023. It still is an active bill, but has not moved. This bill carries some clarifying language for our hairstylist license fee. I do believe that this bill is still active, so we will just continue to watch to see if what happens and when we get a hearing on this. And there's been no changes to the actual language.
Okay, any comments or questions from members? Okay, we can move to the next one.
All right, our last bill is SB 1084. This is a bill that did some significant changes to our hairstylist licensing. I can tell you that we have confirmed with the author's office that they will not be pursuing this bill. Board took an opposed position, but we did confirm that the author will not be pursuing this bill, so we don't anticipate anything further on this one.
Okay, thank you. Any comments on this bill or questions from members? Okay, overall on this agenda item, are there any further comments or questions from board members? All right, I believe we need to open up for public comment on the whole agenda item.
All All right, this is the moderator and at the direction of the committee, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen or use the raise hand function. And audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. And just to confirm, there are no public attendees at the Sacramento location, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment on WebEx. Would you like me to close the Q&A panel?
Yes, thank you very much. We can move to agenda item 5, which is public comment on items not on the agenda, if we have any public comment to that end.
All right, this is the moderator and at the direction of the committee, I have once again opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment for items not on the agenda, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen or use the raise hand function. And audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. All right, and seeing no requests for public comment, would you like me to close that Q&A panel?
Yes, thank you. We'll move to item 6, which is suggestions for future agenda items. Do we have any from our board members? Hearing none. I believe we go to public comment once more on this.
All right, and this is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen or use the raise hand function. And audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. All right, and seeing no requests for public comment, would you like me to close that Q&A panel?
Yes, thank you very much. Item 7 is adjournment. Thank you, everyone. This has been a very helpful meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.